Well, I went to the University of Hawaii in 1948 to take some courses in the University of Hawaii. And it was during an anthropology class that I realized something was being taught that was not in accordance with our way of life and culture. And during this anthropology class, I got up and objected to Professor Mason, who was the instructor. Told him I do not believe, and I did not believe at that time, to what Margaret Mead was saying in her book about the sex life of the Samoan young people. And he said to me, "How do you know?" And he said, "Well, I should know. I grew up in that culture. I am of the age Margaret Mead is writing about." And that is not true.
Margaret Mead was in here in 1926. So she stayed at Mrs. Guest House as one of the chiefs over here. I usually help her with carrying her mosquito net, typewriters, and some folders for her work. I think some girl told her a wrong story. The Samoan people, you know, once they want to laugh to a foreigner or somebody, so they told them the wrong story to influence her to listen to the story, but it's not a true story.
Ta'u Island, the very place where Margaret Mead studied adolescence in Samoa. A terrible hurricane devastated the island in 1987. Remarkably, a search for Mead's adolescent girls of the 1920s leads to the discovery, more than 60 years later, of Mead's close associate and chief informant, 86-year-old Fa'apua'a Fa'amu. Her account will settle once and for all the controversy that has long surrounded Margaret Mead's coming of age in Samoa.
Fa'amu, ol mele ol fisiri mua lava. Pe manatua oi i Margaret Mead. Po o lale ko inga keinge o langi me ke mankua au ingai Margaret Mead a ko Whewai.
Whewai. Te mantua ale leo te nei a taita ata te leo ni si tu intangata awa o le a mamafutanga. Ma Whewai le a pe ura leo so tasi. Ai atasi lan me awai a yawa anua. A la fora ma uma fome o tangi fa ma la uma na me o ya fa ma la fo me tu la fa. Ai fai matau po ma ua e ave fai matau po ya wa e mua la manga o fu mo senga mo siri a pena foi tua u
ali mu dai xa so foi le po sa fia
na
e pe filia ku le finge po a me o e fai po i se skemi pe u la foi o ko pe
yo e a tu la ma tu te e va matama mo le lunga le ula ya la va tu fa mo ia yo a fa mai to e fe ma to eva mai ya ma to fe ini ya ma fo lo tina fa eva matama ya ila va to fa mo ila ya o me ula we lo fu tini sa mo te le pipelo ma le ula ya ya va to la fa mo e va fa mo ila ma kirika e ila me mo
e kela kai mi ke fsilia kai ka limo ale o kai mi avole pelo yo ko ya Margaret Mead
yo al pipelo ye mato.
Well, if Margaret Mead was wrong, where do you think she got her ideas from? Do you think she was fooled by her young informants?
No, my view on this may be a bit harsh. But I think Margaret Mead was talking about her own self. I think she brought her own ideas. She was just looking for a frame. But she brought her own ideas and her own problems from the United States of America and from her own self.
I think she made up her mind that she's going to write that theory according to what she believed, but not according to what the people are living here. Because the whole book is just totally opposing our own custom and culture, the way we live, the way we protect our young girls.
Margaret Mead took away perhaps not our humanity so much, as our oneness with other human beings. I mean, we're no different from you in Australia or the United States or any other part of the world. We all go through these phases, and perhaps it's our cultures that makes the semblance of difference. But for Margaret Mead to make us behave as if we are non-humans because we behave like animals in our promiscuity, I think that is a very great disfavor that she has done us.
We have one more question from Saini.
Yes, Dr. Mead. I would like to ask you, why did you choose to visit Samoa at this time, but not, let's say, 5 or 10 years right after you wrote the book 46 years ago?
Well, I think the real answer is, you know, that, or there are 2 or 3 answers. One, lots of other people came to work in Samoa. Younger students, and they came to talk to me before they went, and I talked to them when they came back. We began having moving pictures, so that I saw pictures every few years, lots of still pictures. I knew what was happening. You know, I've seen pictures of what's been going on Tau for years.
I find it very curious that Margaret Mead never really returned to Samoa. Apparently she once sat down there for an hour or so to open a power station or something. But she went back to other places to recheck what had happened, but never to Samoa. And I think this is very curious. My own hypothesis is that she was frightened. That she was frightened that she might find material that contradicted her first book. And after all, her fame was established by that first book. And I think she was so insecure that she was afraid that if anything in that book was discredited, her whole reputation would fall into shreds.
She told me that she had met with Derek Freeman and that he had told her about his research in Samoa and what he thought of her work and that he was going to publish this. And I gave her a so what look. And she said, you don't understand, he has proven me wrong. And she looked very sad and puzzled, and I thought it was very odd that I was here feeling sorry for Margaret Mead, and even stranger that I was going to have to tell her that this was not important. But I did. I said, what you have done in anthropology and for the world is not Samoa dependent. It really doesn't matter whether you were right or wrong about Samoa. And she said, well, what do you think I ought to do about it? I said, just nothing.